player will.
Welcome back, Visions fans. Ready Player Will here. We had Dark Titan, both the Esper and Vision card released this week. I know JB and I talked about it a little bit in the podcast, but I wanted to go just a layer deeper on my thoughts and analysis as to whether you should, why you should, the upsides, the pros and cons, the long-term thought. And right now, just to kind of get things out of the way, our current recommendation, given with Advent Children collaboration coming out, is that this is likely an easier skip at this time, given that Dark Titan is a permanent pool Esper and Vision card, and unless you're really solid on using King Mont and really trying to min-max him, and specifically so into the Ice and Earth synergy, obviously Mono Earth, this works as well, you're likely otherwise better using your Viz on the Final Fantasy VII collab and waiting to maybe pick this up at a later time. That's where things stand. Now, provided that you're on the fence or you've already pulled a little deeper into the thoughts, and we'll look at the Vision card first, the Esper next, then I have some damage calculations for us. The Vision card overview, I'm using the awakened stats of this Vision card. Again, if you're pulling this, spending all this Viz for it, highly recommend you awaken it. It's a non-holo Vision card, so you are eligible to awaken it. You're looking at 577 HP, 12 total AP to be added to your max AP, 188 attack, 4 spirit, 50 dexterity, and 4 agility points here. Now for the bestowed effect on the unit themselves, Ice and Earth units get defense pen of 10 and area resistance of 5, and for Earth units only, they get 10% HP and 10% accuracy. That's just for the unit. Now for the party, everyone gets unit res of 20, defense penetration of 13, and HP up of 20%. And friendly reminder, those HP values scale off of your base HP stat. So overall, this is a main slot Vision card candidate that combines both Earth and Ice. That being said, you can use it for Mono Ice or Mono Earth. Certainly nothing wrong with that either. Obviously, the big upside here for the party is that HP in the main slot, the unit res, and that little bit of defense penetration, particularly for the person holding this card where you also get the 10 defense pen bestowed for a total of 23 to that individual unit. Now for the Esper, this board is relatively flexible. It is definitely offensive oriented in that you can get up to the 25 human killer. You also get up to the 25 earth attack here. You have 7% attack stat potentially. You also can go the route of a little bit of the accuracy, the 15% crit rate. You have up to 7 crit damage, but the most noteworthy thing here is the 25% lightning resistance. The only Esper in the game with that right now is Ochu, which is a much lower rarity Esper, so overall stats are much worse. Agility is much lower, much slower Esper. It's more of a defensive Esper than an offensive Esper. So this is a very noteworthy Esper for whenever you're encountering lightning teams, for really any unit, number one, but in particular for Earth units, and really shutting down that matchup if you're trying to go for some little rainbow comps and whatnot. And so I have 2 sample builds here to compare a Ashen King Mont, because he's the primary benefactor of this Vision card in Esper, to look at him pre, if you did not pull this, and post, if you did pull both of these and if you're using both of these. And so in the very first sample build, I'm assuming in both of these the same equipment, the same passives, but the team on the left, you're likely seeing, you might see some flexibility in the subvision cards here where I have Voldisk and the Final Fantasy V Esper, but roughly speaking, you're likely using Odin in the main slot to cover the unit res for the party, some form of agility, likely the Rams division card for veterans. You're probably putting the Bahamut Esper on here, and I'm using Bahamut in particular to stress test the offensive potency of this, because Bahamut is one of the most offensively potent Espers there are. And so I'm not going to go through every single stat here on the snapshot, but you're looking at 11,636 for HP. You're looking at about 1635 for attack, 116 agility, dexterity and luck certainly in the mid to high 400s there. You're at 21 unit res and 30 AoE res. From a modifier perspective, 35 earth attack, 56 slash attack, 45 human killer. You're at 50 defense pen in this build and 40 slash res pen. When we implement, though, Dark Titan, both the Esper and the Vision card, your party is more likely to look like this, where you're going to be using the Esper on King Mont or Ashen Mont himself. You're going to be putting the Dark Titan vision card on him and dropping entirely this Odin vision card, and you're probably moving over that Ramza vision card to A2, so your party still maintains their agility. A2 in this build is and Aldoa are 20% less accurate because Odin has bestowed effect of accuracy for ice units, either 20 or 25%. But they're both becoming relatively less accurate because of it. Something to keep in mind from a team building perspective. But when we look at the stats and just comparing both of them, I'm not expecting you to read back and forth. I have a summary chart here just highlighting the differences between the two. You're looking total about 1,500 extra HP for Mont, a little bit less attack stat, dropping about 73 total attack, but you are getting 48 dexterity, which net effect ends up increasing your accuracy by about 14% with the increased accuracy of the unit bestowed. You're also getting a 23% crit rate increase with that dexterity as well, and the crit rate board nodes. And again, for these Esper builds, I went full offensive. There's no lightning res nodes, there's no magic res nodes. This is pure min-maxing the modifiers and the crit damage and the crit rate on both these Espers to really stress test the upside of the difference. And so right now, you're also getting that 5 AoE res. You're trading off some of your modifiers here, but you're still getting net effect, 15 extra modifier. This distribution will actually help Mont prioritize his limit break a little bit more, whereas limit break is a 240% typeless earth attack. So because you're getting 25 earth attack and you're dropping some of the slash attack, there's a higher propensity for the AI to use the limit break instead. Hard to quantify exactly how, but philosophically that's what's happening. And you're getting an increase in the 23 defense pen, which is from that vision card. And so some noteworthy changes, stat-wise, it is overall an upgrade for him. That 1,500 HP is certainly one of the most noteworthy things in adding that fair bit of bulk with the 5 area res. The attack stat decrease that we saw drop by 73 is offset by the net mod increases. So you're getting 15 total extra mod and 23 extra defense pen. So it is technically a trade-off, and I think you're actually benefiting with the new build here. You are getting 8 less crit damage, which actually does kind of hurt your follow-up attack damage just a little bit, but you're getting a 23% higher crit rate, all things considered. So even though you might take a small step back on that modifier, apples to apples, you're going to be crit hitting 23% more, and that could be the difference between being a majority of the time or a minority of the time. If you consider, 50% being your bar. If you're at a 40% crit rate chance right now, this would bump you to the 60% crit rate chance. That means you're more than likely to crit more often than not. So that could be a very important breakpoint in terms of how frequently you crit hit your follow-up attack, which has massive damage ramifications. We're going to see that in just a second. But right now, it's overall a net upgrade offensively build-wise. And this is not even considering the 25 lightning res, which is the most important thing, quite honestly, about this Esper in terms of viability of use in the future as lightning metas come and go. This really was that offensive stress test. And so we have some calcs on some follow-up attacks here. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire damage formula again. That's for a different video, but what I've done is this top section is for the first build, the current build without Dark Titan. So I've got the stats in here. I've got the percentages of what the follow-up attack scales off of. It's an 86% mod. I am assuming a critical hit rate here, so there's crit damage. You have 45 human killer. The assumption here is that he has his second buff in his kit is an extra 30 defense pen, and so I'm assuming that buff is active for these calculations. So he innately has 50, he'll have another 30 from that buff, brings him to 80, and for the person that we're hitting, we're going to assume they have 50 defense. That number could be anything, though, but we're going to assume 50 for the sake of this stress test. We're going to assume they have 50 unit res. That's very high, but again, we're really stress testing here. And his limit break, though, because it's a follow-up attack, his limit break does have the 20% unit res in peril. So I'm not factoring in the crush here quite yet in the calcs. I'm trying to keep this relatively simple, but we do have to account for the imperil considering that he's using the limit break. So we're going to bring that unit res from 50 down to 30, technically. And when you do all of this, the damage of this follow-up attack without Dark Titan should be at 3458. Now, when we put in Dark Titan, we substitute the main stats here. Again, you'll notice those stats in the where my cursor is should be different. The only real big changes here is that the crit damage mod a little bit lower by that 8%. We're going from 62 down to 54, but we are getting more defense pen here. We're going from the 80 to 100, but we're assuming the same enemy resistances. And so overall, the final damage output, it's only 130 damage higher. It's actually not like a crazy amount of higher damage from the follow-up attack perspective. Now, offensively, from just general attack perspective, this defense pen is going to definitely help him tank bust more reliably. The extra earth modifiers is certainly going to be a overall net increase for offensive output. Right now, this follow-up attack does not look at earth attack, doesn't look at slash attack. It only looks at the killers. But the again, following up on that asterisk, this bottom build crit hits 22% more often. And so again, if that 22% is the difference between you landing it or not, if we kind of rerun this calc on the top and assume it's not a critical hit, meaning you lose the 62 damage mod there, well, the damage is actually only 2347. And so if the bottom build at extra crit rate is the difference, well, yeah, you're talking a difference of about 1200 damage there on your follow-up attack. And that actually could be a big difference maker in that follow-up attack, not only killing someone, but specifically when it comes to like re-raise in the game at the moment. 2347 might not be enough to kill someone, where if you kill them and they re-raise with a certain amount of health, that might not be enough, but 3500 is killing most units that just re-raised. So in that percent difference, that actually could come in very impactfully in some of these fights. And so that's my Dark Titan thoughts in a nutshell. Again, it's not necessarily a must pull, but it is certainly excellent upgrade, particularly if you're trying to run that ice and earth overlap where Dark Golem already exists. This is the second card in that element matchup. But even for mono earth, this is a fantastic card where mono earth does have a lot of great physical units. Their unit res card is fine, but it's got the pierce attack on it, and obviously earth isn't really benefiting from that the same as it used to be. The Esper, right now probably isn't all that useful compared to what you're using already for Bahamut, for Odin, for Dark Odin, because really the lightning res is where it comes out on top. But down the line, we're in a Joom heavy water meta right now. We're anticipating young O to come out as a lightning katana user at some point. If we're just kind of theory crafting that projected schedule, which again, purely conjecture, this lightning res Esper could come in very, very handy when that time eventually comes around. Obviously, we're going to have a lightning unit come out at some point. This Esper will be a very good component of whatever team you're building at that time. So this is more of like a slow burn too for some people, but I'll stop going on for now. That's my thoughts in a nutshell. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll talk to you all later.